My name is Maya Zebli, and I am a board-certified music therapist. Today I will introduce you to the topic of songwriting as a therapeutic approach. In his book, Defining Music Therapy, Brusha mentions 4 types of music experiences that falls under methods: improvisational methods, recreative methods, compositional methods, and receptive methods. Songwriting falls under compositional methods. This is when the client, with the guidance of the therapist, composes an original song which includes the creation of melody, lyrics, and eventually be incorporated into a rhythmic pattern and accompanied by a chord progression. Songwriting activity addressed in a clinical setting is an active music experience. This is when the client is actively engaged in the music making process and requires the use of cognitive, emotional, and interpersonal skills. It is important to mention that even if the client is nonverbal or the client was diagnosed with developmental disability, for example, songwriting activity would still be appropriate if it serves the client's clinical goal and objective. As I mentioned before, songwriting is an active music therapy experience, and Brusha mentioned several aims or purposes that songwriting serves in a clinical setting. Therapeutic songwriting aims may include to develop organizational and planning abilities. So according to Hansen, Abramate, and Colwell, in a medical setting working with cancer patients, organizational and planning abilities relate to problem-focused coping strategies. Coping with the diagnosis, coping with the change in life due to the diagnosis, and coping with treatment. Organizational and planning abilities requires the patient's active participation in decision-making and planning relating to the treatment and diagnosis. So how it relates to songwriting. So when we as therapists engage a client into a songwriting activity through the process of planning and organizing the song's form, verse, chorus, bridge, for example, and or chord progression or the style of the songs or the way we're going to perform the song, these skills can be later transferred into increasing the mental state required to cope with the diagnosis through planning the course of treatment. The second aim Brusha mentioned is the develop skills in creative problem solving. This is when the client exercises the solution finding skills while going through challenging times. And to do so, we as the therapists should provide the client with the option to express their likes and or dislikes relating to the choice of melody, harmony, lyrics, and so forth. And we should guide the client through the process of exploring alternative musical solutions so that eventually the song would turn out to be aesthetically pleasing for them. Another aim Brusha mentioned in relation to songwriting is to develop the ability to document and communicate inner experiences. Through the process of several music therapy sessions, the client goes through transformation. And by writing a song, let's say at the beginning phases of treatment, and later on during the termination phase, listening to and reflecting back on that song, the client then gained perspective to who they were in relation to where they are at that present moment. Let's move forward. The purpose of songwriting, another aim Brusha mentioned, is to promote the exploration of therapeutic themes through lyrics. In a clinical songwriting session, the theme is the subject of the song. It is also the anchor or the framework. Themes are the client's issues, thoughts, and emotions they experience in the here and now. During the session, the therapist should be attentive to the client's expressions, and it is the responsibility of the therapist to recognize in that present moment any reoccurring words, phrases, concerns, expressions of feelings or thoughts that arise. These then become the theme and can be developed into the lyrics. The last point I want to mention is the songwriting assists with developing the ability to integrate and synthesize parts into wholes. Wholeness means harmony of all parts, or as Brushab states, when a client experience an emotional or physical challenge, it may be difficult for them to put the parts of themselves and their world together into harmonious whole. So during songwriting experience, the therapist assists the client with integrating the lyrics, the chords, the chord progression, and melody into a whole song, which will eventually lead to a final product. And that product would represent the client true self.